Hello, hello, and welcome to Decaf, a production of the Beacon Center of Tennessee. Taylor and Mark are back with you, and honestly, even though the bag's under my eyes, I'm still puffy from the lack of sleep we got last week. But Mark, do you at least feel like a human again? Because last week was absolutely insane, and we'll get to that. But how are you feeling human-wise? Because I felt like a lump of trash for like 4 whole days.
Yeah, I'm still not back yet. I've actually had like stomach issues the past couple days. I think I'm still like from just like stress. I think from that happening.
Same.
Really?
Same. I had a migraine on Tuesday and I called my mom and I was like, what's going on with me? I usually don't get migraines. And she was like, I think you're having a letdown migraine because you were so hyped up for like 2 weeks, just so tense. And then it all came down. And I think that's why you have a migraine. And I think she's right.
I know. I got to figure out how to handle this because, like, I was so stressed. Like, I didn't sleep for 2 nights, kind of thinking about our poll and making sure everything goes well. But now, last night, I'm thinking about our next poll. And I'm like, oh, God, this cannot be a trend that I do where I can't sleep for all year long. So I'm hoping to figure this out. But it's a good thing in a lot of ways because it's like it's not I hate this. I'm just trying to think of ways to make it awesome and the best, but it's really taken away from my sleep. So I'm hoping I can adjust to this.
Did you do anything fun last weekend just to rest?
Nothing.
Just rest. I know, same. You know me, I'm like adamantly opposed. It's like a proverb of my life, like thou shalt not play video games. But when Hogwarts Legacy came out months ago, I was like, okay, do I like stick to my guns and say I'm not going to play this? Or do I be who I am and do everything Hogwarts Harry Potter related? And I decided to do that. And so we downloaded Hogwarts Legacy this weekend. And when I tell you that I did not leave the couch for like 10 hours on Saturday playing Hogwarts Legacy with Blake, just because I feel like I physically couldn't move. Like I just couldn't do anything because I was so tired, and it was just nice to sit on the couch and watch him fight goblins on this video game. I don't know, it was so lame, but for some reason it's what my brain and my body needed.
I think those are the best days. I didn't feel good Saturday, but like I just watched, probably an entire season of Vanderpump. I'm on like season 8 now. I'm really killing it. But it's like some days you just need that. You need to not do anything. You need to just lay in bed and it's 100 and whatever degrees outside. You're like, this is awful. So it was a nice change of pace. I completely agree. And it's tough because I'm having a dry July, so I'm giving up alcohol for the whole month, and I'm eating healthy. I'm actually down like 9 pounds already in 13 days.
Oh my gosh, I have exercised every day this week because for 2 weeks it was like I couldn't do it in the morning because I got up and started working. I couldn't do it in the afternoon because I was beat from all the stuff we had to do. So I've exercised every day this week, and I'm gonna still drink my rosé, but I'm gonna try to get to where you are. We're doing drink rosé.
Yeah, we're doing the opposite things. I'm not exercising, but I'm not drinking or eating bad food. So it's kind of a mixture. My exercise is walking, so we'll call it even.
I'm exercising, but I'm drinking my Vanderpump Rosé. Which honestly, Mark, you've gotten me so deep into Vanderpump that we were at the wine store the other night, and I was like, Blake, please, we need Vanderpump Rosé, and he's into it now too. And so he was like, oh, we are absolutely buying Vanderpump Rosé. Like we watch Vanderpump all the time. I went over last night after my Bible study, and he goes, you want to turn on Vanderpump? Like this is like what we do now is watch Vanderpump.
So I have 2 questions for you. First of all, we need to go on another double date soon just to discuss this because I feel like we're on such a weird thing where we're like 8 years behind on this show. And
I know.
Like, we can talk like it's all happening first, and it's like even now. What season are you on?
I'm at the very. When did Jax and Brittany get married? I just watched them get married.
We're very. Oh, you're ahead of me. You're in season 8 too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have been getting in bed every single night and watching it. Like it's all I do right now.
Well, that's even better because we can kind of talk about things from we're like on the same season, but like just even now thinking like that Jackson and Stassi were together ever is insane. Like looking now, it's just,
okay.
But
I feel like Stassi and I are very similar in a lot of ways, and I love her. Like not crazy dark side Stassi, but like normal Stassi. But I literally have been going to bed every night watching Vanderpump, and Blake's like, how was your day? And I'm like, Jax and Brittany are engaged. Like it's all I care about is Vanderpump.
I dream about it. Okay, I don't think most people who listen to this probably care about that show, so we'll move on, but it's really interesting. We need to go and do this, by the way. We need to go and have another double date.
We need another double date.
Yes.
I know, we have to discuss our Vanderpump. But to answer your question, Vanderpump Rosé is amazing.
Yes.
I want to have some right now. It's so good. And if you're out there and you don't watch Vanderpump, you should be, because it was just nominated for an Emmy. Vanderpump Rosé is amazing. And I think that Lisa Vanderpump is meant to be my mother. And so I'll leave it at that.
I don't like her, but we'll talk later about that. I'm not a fan of hers anymore. I think she's annoying.
I love her and I love my mom, but I think I might have been misdelivered as a baby, and I think I was supposed to be Lisa Vanderpump's daughter. Anyway, so we're talking about being exhausted. We're talking about, trying to get our energy meters back up to normal, because the poll took every bit of energy that we have. But last Thursday and Friday, when you guys were seeing it for the first time, Mark and I, because of our preparedness, were sitting around giddy as we could be, because it went so well. It was so well received. Millions of dollars in earned media coverage for us, which is amazing, because as a nonprofit, we do have a strict budget. We just can't spend and spend and spend to get stuff out there. But the fact that the media picked it up and ran with it was such a beautiful thing. I know what my most exciting moment was, but Mark, what were some of your most exciting moments of coverage for the poll?
Gosh, it's so hard. And we had this, every year we do the pork report, and that's great media coverage, but this trumped in a couple ways every poll that everything we've ever done media wise. It was you
use awesome that word. You use that word not even ironically, but no, maybe a little ironically, but not. It was like a play on words, but it was actually true. But go ahead, keep going.
So having the former president of the United States put his True Social post, do a press release about our poll, have his whole team tweet about it, the official campaign, was just, it's shocking. You're it's what world am I living in right now? It doesn't matter what you think of Trump. I would have been happy if anybody did that, but having a former president, put the Beacon poll in the front page of a press release he did to all the media. He put it all over True Social. He on Twitter, his team, his official campaign team is 3 million people. They had multiple graphics they made about the Beacon poll, about how he was doing, and it was shocking. And I don't care if it's Jimmy Carter, any former president who's tweeting about us is insane, and that really was shocking. But then I think my biggest, win on that, two biggest wins. I have a lot of things to say, and then you can go.
Yeah, okay.
But I love the way that school choice was picked up across the state. Every article basically mentioned school choice.
Yes.
And every outlet and multiple outlets talked about how good of a poll it was from a technical standpoint, which is you can't argue with the results, and that school choice is popular. And I love that. And then the last, and for me, maybe the most exciting was on a Fox News TV interview that night with Ron DeSantis, who was in our poll. The host of it was Will Cain, I think, asked DeSantis, there was a recent poll. The recent poll was from an entity called the Beacon Center, and then they asked him about how his poll numbers were kind of diving. It's probably not a question that he wanted to get, Ron DeSantis, but it was so interesting to hear the Beacon poll, the first poll we've ever done, reference on Fox News to the governor of Florida and a presidential contender. And that was just, it was like an out of body experience. It was crazy.
Well, and that was my most exciting moment too, because he went on to say the Beacon Center released their poll today. We also have Real Clear Politics comparing our numbers and saying that they said the same thing. Real Clear, which people look at all the time, and putting our poll in the same sentence as Real Clear. That to me was just validation. That was beautiful to me. And that was probably my most exciting moment too. Just being in the same sentence as that on such a huge network primetime interview with Ron DeSantis. That was great. And it was kind of cute how the anchor looked down at his notes. I've never heard of this poll before, but my team, my producers think it's important, so I'm going to say it. And that to me was really cool and really cute. So I definitely loved that.
Yeah, it was really an excellent rollout. It couldn't have gone any better. And even our pollster, who is, he's done this a lot. He basically said this is the most press he's ever gotten, and he kind of gave us a warning. He's like, "This was the best rollout I've ever seen." But just FYI, it's almost impossible you get this kind of press on every poll. This was just an exceptional. Again, we don't know the exact number we want to add up, but it's at least $3 million worth of earned media value. I certainly Justin, if you're listening, I certainly made my salary worth it for that $3 million.
Yeah, seriously. You hit all of your goals for this year.
Yeah, and I don't have to do anything else, right?
We're done. We're done for the year. But it was truly exciting. And I think that all the preparation, we joke about it a lot. Mark was like, we weren't at each other's throats. And I was like, honey, you might not have been, but I was. But all of the stuff that we put into it to make it come out great, Mark has been on me for 5 years that I've been working at Beacon, and he's like, you're not good at planning. You're not good at this. I think I've finally gotten it down. And all of the stuff that you've said, we did it, Mark. We did it. I've listened. I've taken your advice. We planned to the nth degree, and we did it. And I'm proud of us.
That's an exaggeration of what I said. I said that you need to work on planning. Sometimes you let things come up on you. I didn't say you were terrible, but yes. And I need to give a couple shout outs because I think it's important for this poll. Because, I think that my name is on a lot of this stuff, all the media, my name's on the interviews, my name's on, but this was a real team effort. And it was,
it was
a lot of the graphics that you see on, if you look at the whole beaconpoll.com, I think I said this before, but that was all Taylor. All I did was offer feedback. If I think it would look better like this or look better like that, but all the graphics you made, the setup you did, and you basically took edits from, me, Justin, Stephanie, just made that look great. So that was fully tailored. No one else did with that. Some other people who don't deserve as much credit as Taylor, but still deserve a lot of credit, is Olivia and Dylan both did an excellent job making sure the numbers matched up.
Yeah.
We have so many documents, so having Olivia and Dylan check them, continue to give us edits saying, oh, this number from the poll is not the same as this number from the graphic, because there's so many different numbers and
so many numbers.
Yeah, we have to thank our pollster, Randy, who just did an unbelievable job, came up with a great poll, spent a lot of time. He's the best of the best. And I honestly don't want to give his name out to people. I've suggested him so many times, but I need to make sure he has time for our poll. So I don't want to do that. and then last, and certainly not least, is that Macy and Ryan Otter both did an excellent job with our graphics, for the press release that people used on TV. Those are graphics that were for the media, and they did an excellent job. So a shout out to everyone. This was a full team effort. And last but not least, Justin and Stephanie, had to make a tough decision to let us do this. This was not an easy decision. They really went out on a limb to say, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm willing to trust you, essentially. And we got money for it, but you have to give them a lot of credit for that. And I think that, Jamie separately raised money for it. So there's so many people that are involved with this that everyone deserves a lot of praise, and it was a full team effort.
And Justin and Stephanie did trust us. Like, they did not micromanage us. I barely spoke to them throughout the whole process. Like, this was me and Mark putting our heads together and figuring out, Mark telling me what needed to be done, me doing it, us just making it happen. And Justin and Stephanie were like, we trust you guys, go forth. And we did. And so I massive credit to them, because there's nothing I hate more than having my shoulder looked over to do stuff, because that doesn't make me do good work. And they just said, handle it. And we did. And that's how teams are supposed to work.
And if it didn't work out or it didn't come out on time, we would have been in some trouble. And I also think it's important to know, I was in charge of all of the polling stuff, all that stuff, but Taylor did the entire website. I just said, I trust you, take care of it. So it wasn't like I gave direction on everything else, and I made sure everything else, all the graphics that were done, like everything else I was in charge of. The website, I just fully trusted to Taylor, and she did that all herself, and I made edits. So it wasn't like that was fully used. So I don't, I think I get credit for a lot of stuff there. The website, I only get credit for making it look a little better than you originally did. Like, you did that all yourself, so you deserve the full credit for that.
It was fun. It was a fun project to work on. We hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Next process in October will probably go a lot smoother, and we'll get a lot more sleep because we know how to do it now. It's funny, every time I make a mistake on something in life, my mom always says, you don't know what you don't know. And so when you make a mistake, you apologize and you course correct for next time. And with the poll, we didn't know what we didn't know. We didn't know how to do this. And so I think for our polls going forward, it's going to be so much easier, and we'll hopefully get a lot more sleep because now we know what it entails. So it was a fun project. I hope that everyone out there enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed doing it. And stay tuned, because the October poll, it's going to be just as spicy. And I can't wait to come out with some even more results as we get closer and closer to the 2024 election, and asking more questions about important statewide policies. Speaking of 2024 elections and the White House, I didn't know that this was happening. I just kept seeing the memes online that said, like, you get angry about cocaine in the White House, but you call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. Do you want him to be awake or not? And I was like, haha, that's funny. And then Mark was like, no, they actually found cocaine in the White House. And I didn't know that this was happening because I've apparently been living under a rock or living at Hogwarts in my video game world or at Sir with Vanderpump. But what what the heck is going on? I don't understand what's happening.
I don't either. I know that I guess it was the Secret Service. They're doing an investigation now, but there was cocaine remnants found at the White House, or maybe just cocaine. And it was in a place where only somebody with access would have gone. So it couldn't have been a tourist who snuck in. It couldn't have been something like that. It was clearly somebody who worked in the White House or had close relations to the White House to be in that room. And the question becomes, they're doing an investigation now. You know, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my guess is that we only find out who did it if it's somebody who's quote unquote not important. You know, there's a lot of, if it's somebody who's a close White House aide or the president's son or something like that, I don't think we're going to find out who actually did it. I think it'll be inconclusive. If it's, you know, somebody who's, you know, a low level staffer who somehow got in there or something like that, we might find out. So they have kind of their, okay, it wasn't somebody, but I am telling you, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I think if it's inconclusive, they know who it is and it's somebody high up. There's a lot of talk on kind of the right wing Twitter and media that it's Hunter Biden. You know, of course that's possible.
Of course.
But it's not.
I don't saying that.
I don't think we should necessarily throw these stones when we have no idea who it was. But we do know somebody close to the White House. And I think Donald Trump Jr. said something like, everyone was concerned about my dad, you know, drinking too much Diet Coke. I think we need to be more concerned about the actual Coke in the White House.
I know. Yeah. The Coca-Cola has abandoned that as one of their ingredients many years ago. So I think that we're good on that. But I mean, what if it comes out that it was an intern? Like, if they're putting the blame on somebody, it's somebody close. Like that's what I think. Just as like spin, all the spin that you watch. I mean, we watch these political shows and it's like, blame it on an intern, blame it on an intern. Like, come on, guys.
They might have a tougher time though, because I feel like, from what I understand, that interns would not have been allowed in the, I think it's because of the West Wing. So I think it has to be somebody a little bit higher up. It wouldn't just be an intern. You know, I think again, the way I understand it, I might be wrong, but at minimum, it's like a mid-level staffer. So I think like that's the best case scenario for the Biden White House. It could be a close staffer. I know it could be
bad.
I know. So it's interesting to see. And yeah, again, this is one where, you know, I'm not into this whole, I really don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, but Biden's Secret Service investigating this, I don't know that we're going to get a real answer. We'll see. Maybe we will.
I don't think so either. I don't either, but
they certainly have video. I mean, it feels like everything in the White House, there's video cameras in because they need to make sure they have to know who did it.
No, they definitely, there are video cameras. When one of my best friends worked in the White House, she was giving me a tour of it and she showed me all these things and I was kind of looking up and looking around because I love crown molding and I think it's beautiful. There are cameras everywhere. Like, if there is a trace of something, they already know who did it. They're just trying to figure out how to spin it. I think that's my take on it as a comms person. They know who did it. They're trying to make a spin. That's what I think. But it's something that I'm definitely going to start following, mostly on the Babylon Bee, because they are just really funny, and I know they're going to make it really good. So next week, I'm taking a much-needed vacation day. This is switching gears in a big way. Taking a much-needed vacation day to go to SEC Media Days. Now, Mark, I know that you hate the SEC. You think this is dumb. For me, I lived in Birmingham for 4 years, and I never went to SEC Media Days. I lived in Alabama for like 26 years. I never went to SEC Media Days while I was there. I am going to go to the Grand Hyatt in Nashville and just breathe the same air as Nick Saban, and I will be restored. My power level is not at its fullest from the poll release still, but I think breathing some of Nick Saban's air will make it be so. And I don't know if I do want to know or don't want to know about the Alabama quarterback situation, the offensive coordinator situation. I think it might be better for me to live in the dark so that my dark side doesn't come out. But I'm really excited, Mark. I know you wouldn't get near that within 10 miles of that place, but I'm pumped. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it'll be cool. By Wednesday, Alabama might not have an offensive coordinator at all, based on some of the news that Tommy Rees may be going to Northwestern. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for that. I think, I think media days are just kind of dumb generally, but I also
Totally.
know
They're for the fans.
But I mean, I think it's dumb for the fans. And I will give Saban a little bit of credit because most coaches say nothing. It's just all, recycle talking points of, oh, we feel great about everything we're at. Saban's at least a little bit more honest about where he's at. And I feel like and I think Lane Kiffin is too. But outside of those two, it's all going to be boring. But I kind of try to put myself in your shoes. If the Jazz had a media day here, I would be excited to go to. So I'm not going to blame you. It's cool. And it's interesting. We're not going to go into details yet because we don't want to give away, but I think we're going to be asking an SEC related question on our next poll, which will be very fun to do. So it'll be, I'm glad for you. I think it'll be a good time. I think you should probably be a little worried about Alabama this year. Like this feels like
a little,
it feels like it could be this kind of the start of their downfall. I mean, this is, 2 straight years they haven't won. This is probably their worst quarterback that they're starting with. There's a lot of moving pieces. They lost a lot of talent to the draft. I'm sure they'll be good. They won't be worse than like 9-3. But if you're into that 8-4, 9-3 thing, like this could be the start of a downfall where you're just a good football team and not, one of the top couple.
No, I know. I need to start saving my money for panic sessions with my therapist every single Monday of football season because I'm going to be stressed out of my mind. It's sad to see my team not having, we're a quarterback school. Like we have quarterbacks at Alabama. We don't have a freaking quarterback. That's what's stressing me out the most. And I hate to see Georgia fans happy and
the good news is though, you don't usually have quarterbacks. I mean, you have Saban make them good quarterbacks. None of these guys are good in the NFL. Every single quarterback from Alabama has been terrible in the NFL, right?
Not terrible.
Who's been good?
I mean, they're not like standouts, but like they survive. Like Tua survived and Mac survived. Like, I mean, they're not great, but they're surviving.
All of them have done worse than where they were drafted at. Like, and you've had guys who, what was the one guy's name? Mac. I forget the guy's name from the Bengals. No, his last name begins with Mac. I can't think of his name right now. The guy that McCarron, yeah. Like he's been, he was drafted well, and then he's like not even the NFL anymore. Yeah. And there's been a lot of every Alabama quarterback has basically underachieved, except for Jalen Hurts, but he basically went to Oklahoma, is what he came out of, and he got a good quarterback system there. So my point is that maybe don't be as worried because Saban gets the most out of his quarterback. So even if they're not super good, he makes them look good. I think if anything, that's a compliment to him that these guys are not great in the NFL that are great college players because of what he does with them. So even, somebody who might not be great, including the would have been backup quarterback for Notre Dame, we'll see. I think they can still be okay and good enough to win. That's all that matters.
I'm just going to say it now. If Alabama loses to Tennessee again this year, you guys will never see me again. I will have to leave the United States because I can't, I know that football is like what did you call it a few weeks ago when I said if Georgia wins the national championship again, I have to leave the U.S. because I can't live in a country.
Yeah, you're the Trumper. You're the anti-Trumper.
That's like my Trump issue. Yeah. If Tennessee beats Alabama again, I have to leave Tennessee. If Georgia wins the national championship again, I have to leave America. And those are my terms. So I think
about that. One of those I think definitely won't happen. I'm pretty convinced Tennessee's going to be bad. I think they're going to be bad again. I think Hendon Hooker is a special player. Jalen Hyde's a special player. I feel like they go back to they're 8-4, 7-5. I think Alabama beats them. Georgia wins that championship, completely possible, but not. I don't think Tennessee is a thing.
Well, where am I going to go? I guess I'll move to France. I do speak French. We'll give that a go. I know it's not ideal, but I can't. Those are my terms. I can't live in a country where Georgia's the national champion. Let's talk about one more thing before we head out for the day. I went to see the other night The Sound of Freedom, that new movie from Angel Studios that has been tied up for 5 years because Disney purchased the production studio and tabled the movie, and it finally came out. And Mark knows this. A lot of people know this. When I was in college, I was involved with the International Justice Mission. Human trafficking and the prevention of it and the rescuing children from it is one of my top things that I care about. I always talk about education. Basically, if it has to do with kids, I care that the most. And so I went to see The Sound of Freedom. Such a good movie. I cried an embarrassing amount. I left the theater very puffy, but it was such a great movie, and I didn't know that there was like controversy. Like, I didn't know that people didn't think that human trafficking was real. I genuinely didn't know that. I thought it was something that we universally as a society thought was a real, like, realized was a real thing, and cared that children were being bought and sold. Like, I thought I had no idea. And so then I started looking, I looked on Reddit to see what people were saying about the movie, and realized that people like don't think it's real and think it's a conspiracy. And I'm not a conspiracy person. I'm just looking at like data and facts of knowing that this happens. And I don't know, Mark, am I like living with my head in the sand? Like, I really thought that everyone thought and realized this was a real thing.
So I think two things here. I'm going to kind of defend both sides on this whole issue. One, I don't think people don't think it's real. I think that there's this really on the left right now, there's this idea that it's not as big of a deal as people on the right are making it. And, you know, it is a thing, but it's not as big of a thing as people are talking about. And I think you have two different sides. And let me criticize both people right now. I think, first of all, human trafficking is clearly a big deal. It's a huge deal internationally. This is a thing that matters. It has always been a problem. It's still a problem. I think that the right, let me criticize them first. I think that when you call everyone who you disagree with, you know, on issues like even, you know, trans issues, things like that, you call everyone a groomer. You say everyone is, you know, you have, I guess, these conspiracy theories where Hillary Clinton's involved in sex trafficking of children, things like that. It makes the other side take the serious issue less seriously. It's like, it's all the crazy people are saying that. With that being said, most people are that this is a serious issue. And the fact that like some of the left are just ignoring this and acting like, oh, it's a right-wing conspiracy. It is not. This is a real thing. This is something that's happening. And for you to basically say, oh, I don't want to be involved in this because it's like QAnon-y, it's not. Child sex trafficking has been something that's been years and years that people have worked on. And I think it's really sad that I think right now the left's basically saying, no, this is not a real issue. It's not a priority for me. This is a huge issue. And just because a couple crazy people say, oh, you know, Hillary Clinton, whatever, is involved in the sex trafficking trade, that doesn't mean that the issue isn't real. And I think, you know, it's really disappointing to see some people on the left act like this isn't an issue and say, oh, you know, this is not a big deal. It happens a little bit. So it's just disappointing. I've not seen the movie. I actually didn't heard the movie until last week. It's just not something that my mom saw. She loved it. Huge. Yeah. No, but apparently it's number one in the box office. That it's been more like
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Which I mean, like, it's like the 90th Indiana Jones. So I get it. But I feel like that's an interesting kind of thing where you have one, you know, it's not really been in the media much, in the mainstream media, and yet it's the number one movie. So I don't know what happened behind it, but I am interested to see, because I think that this is a real problem. And it's kind of crazy to me that it's become political, because this should be, there's a few things that should never be political. No. And just because a couple crazy people say something doesn't make it like, it's like, oh, you know, people who say 9/11 was an inside job. It's like, that's crazy. It doesn't make you on the other way be like, oh, like go the opposite direction.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. There's crazy people. Exactly. I know. Or like the Holocaust is fake. Some of the crazy conspiracy theories, like, it doesn't change what actually happened. It shouldn't make you, you know, it's a lot. It's like, it's one of the things in politics that makes me the most mad right now, because you have this serious, horrible issue that is among the worst things that could ever happen to a young child. I mean, I can't imagine having to go through that, or somebody having to deal with that.
I know.
And for one group of people to say this just isn't that big of a deal, I don't believe this is that important, and then another group to call everyone that, it loses its power to say, oh, everyone's a groomer. Oh, you're basically a sex trafficker because you believe something different than me on trans issues. That's really sad too. And you know, I think both. Again, this is, I think when we talk about both sides, it's not really both sides. It's the extreme of both sides that are to blame for this. That 10 or 20% on the farthest ends of things that are to blame, where most people understand it's a problem, and it just shouldn't be political.
Well, hyperbole, I think, cheapens any argument. You know, even when we talk about school choice, and they're like, people don't need this, people don't want this. If there's one kid that's unhappy with their school, we should have school choice. Same with this issue. If there's one child that's being manipulated or abused, we need to do something about it. It's hurting someone then something needs to be done. And the hyperbole of we don't need this, or this isn't real, or everyone's doing this, whatever, it cheapens the value of the issue in other people's eyes. And so all I'll leave it with is, if you haven't seen The Sound of Freedom, you should go see it this weekend. Prepare yourself, because it is very difficult to watch, but the message and the story it's told so well. Jim Caviezel is such a great actor. It's so well done. It's a wonder to me that it didn't come out for a long time, but it's no wonder to me that it's doing so well at the box office, because I freaking loved it. I went with Suzanne, our coworker, and we saw it, and I was a weepy, crying, eye makeup all over my face mess, which is nothing new for me, but it's a great movie. And, there are a lot of places to get involved if you want to learn more about what's going on all across the world and in our country. They talk about how the Super Bowl is like the #1 day for human trafficking in the United States. Like, that's sad. This is sad reality. So drawing light to the issue, I think, is important, and getting to do it while sitting in the movie theater and drinking your Coke Zero and eating popcorn and just enjoying being inside on a hot day like today. I can't think of any better way to do it. So that's my movie recommendation of the week, is go see Sound of Freedom. It's so good. Mark, any more thoughts before we peace out for the week?
Nope. I think we're good. Looking forward to seeing everyone next week, and hopefully we get some sleep this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot more sleep. Pray for us that our brains will chill out and the hamster running on the wheel in my head will stop for the weekend so we can sleep. This has been Decaf, a production of the Beacon Center of Tennessee. If you haven't already, you should subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Have a beautiful summer week, and we will see you next time.